and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Leslie Duarte.
And I'm Zach Slopemaker.
I'm Shannon McKercher. On today's episode, we'll be discussing Trump's new immigration proposal for citizenship.
Plus, we'll be bringing you the latest update on one of the most controversial sexual misconduct cases on former Olympic gymnast Dr. Larry Nassar.
And finally, we'll be bringing you the latest on some CSUF and local news. All this and more on today's episode of The Report.
Before we delve into our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the conversation this semester season. Click on the link in the caption of any of our report episodes to fill out our secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issue that we talked about now or in the past. As many of these issues are recurring and evolving, ranging from gun control to abortion, climate change, or the state of politics right now, all we ask is to please keep it civil.
On January 25th, the White House proposed plan for a path to citizenship for up to 1.8 million unauthorized immigrants who came to the United States as children. These 1.8 people include the 790,000 beneficiaries of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, program, as well as other undocumented youth. The plan would be a 10 to 12-year path to citizenship. In exchange, Trump is calling for a $25 billion fund on the border wall patrol security. The White House also wants to limit the legal immigration system. The aspects of the deal include termination of the diversity visa lottery program and replace it with a merit-based one. Trump is also proposing a new plan to restrict family-based migration, also known as chain migration, by preventing people from sponsoring their parents, adult children, or siblings for green cards. So Trump will release his complete immigration framework before his first formal State of Union speech on January 30th. And this is kind of a substantial move for both parties, right? We've had this back and forth fighting. This DACA has been a huge, not problem, but this has been a controversy for both sides. So in your guys' opinion, what do you think? Do you think it's fair for both parties for immigrations? What is your input?
Well, let's look at what he's proposing. He's proposing $25 billion of U.S. taxpayer money to fund a wall. He ran on the promise that Mexico would pay for it. Mexico already said that they will not pay for the wall. He's running on bargaining DACA recipients and immigration for a policy that he wants. Many oppose this on the immigrant advocate side because it is not a fair policy for immigration.
But you have to also remember, Republicans and Democrats both have to give up something in order for this to work. They have to. They have to meet, you give up one thing to get another. Republicans are upset that Trump went back on his repeal for DACA. In his initial speeches, he said he wanted to totally, completely end it, and now he's kind of giving in. And yes, he wants tighter border security, and also Democrats want, they got DACA recipients in return, but also they do not want tighter border security. So, but in this case, we need a unanimous decision. We have to have something both sides kind of agree on, and they're never going to agree. And we still don't know the technicalities of everything.
I think they're meeting in the middle in a correct way, or Trump's trying to meet in the middle in a correct way. I think that the Democrats want DACA, right, and Trump's ideology is, I'll give you DACA, but these are these policies I want in place. There's a big issue with this, because we can talk about a comprehensive immigration policy. The problem is that the people affected by this are not at the table. You have other people who say
but everyone's affected by this. This is America. Like people that are immigrants that are coming here legally.
I'm talking about the undocumented immigrants here. They're not at the table negotiating what's best for their community and what's best for their economy.
But we have to look at it as universal. We have to have a border. We have to. Not only for safety, we have for drug importing. You cannot have a country without a border. Like that's it. Is he going to build a wall, Trump? Probably not. That's not what I'm talking about.
$25 billion of U.S. taxpayer could go into funding education, funding programs that go, anti-drug programs in our communities. No wall will stop drugs from coming into this country as long as you have a demand for it.
But we have to have that, because in order for our country to work, we have to have a line. We have to draw the line somewhere. I mean, if I'm feeling like I wish we could allow just everyone to come in, but we have to we have to draw a line somewhere. We really have to, because
certainly a wall would slow down immigration and also slow down the drugs coming into America. We have to acknowledge that although the wall is excessive and is taking a lot of money, that it at least going to slow down.
Tighter border
as long as
security
you have
would.
an economy that demands for immigrant workers and a society that demands for drug use in this country, you will not stop.
Right, and I'm not concerned with the economics of immigrants here. For my concern is, like, I think that we should kind of be assessment on judging, right? Like, I am for DACA because you come here, you work hard, you want the American dream, and you know, hard work pays off. I'm not for immigrants that are coming here reaping benefits off of welfare, that are not going to school, that are not showing that they want to come here and make a difference. That's who I'm not for. But I do agree. I think DACA is great, but we still have to have a line. We have to have requirements. I mean,
there are 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. DACA and the proposal on the table now does not account for all those good, hard-working immigrants in the United States. That's what we're talking about. You cannot simply just give 800,000 people a legal path to citizenship and say that the problem is fixed.
Well,
that is not
he's granting that though, because in his original, all of his speeches, he did not want DACA. So, you know, like I said earlier, you have to give a little to get a little. And Democrats and Republicans both have to do it, because, I mean, how else are we going to come up with a solution?
The fight's going to be happening over the visa lottery and the chain and the wall building. That's where the fight's going to be had, because DACA at this point is still, under Trump's new proposition, still going to be something that's actively involved. But the issue is over those three policies: the wall, the chain, and the visa lottery. And what I think Trump is trying to do is giving a little, like you said, and also trying to put in place some sort of damper on what's coming into America. But the issue that I have is he talks about chain migration and it not being a good thing. But where I do feel like there's a little bit of flaw in logic here is that in order to become a citizen, you need to have certain things underneath your belt, 12 years of education. And so when he talks about merit, and he puts a giant wall in the middle between two countries, he's kind of saying, okay, merit's understandable, but what about the people who have been here and are pursuing actively their 12 years of education? Or
immigrants that want to do it, that want to come here, that have done it for 10, 12 years. They're not receiving anything, no scholarships. They're doing it the right way. It's not fair to them either. That's why I'm saying, is this fair to everyone?
Well, time's going to have to tell as more policies are rolled out and more decisions are made and it goes through Congress and there's more debates had.
We don't know the technicalities yet, so.
The immigrant community is split in this decision because it shows that some desperate immigrants that are like, okay, like this is our last chance to get a pathway to citizenship, or a last chance because DACA will be repealed and we won't have anywhere to go. They're like, okay, we'll take anything. Even parents of immigrant children are like, look, it's okay if I get deported as long as you have a stay here. That is called family separation.
Right.
That is not fair.
I mean, I don't think it's fair either, but we have to have a line. We have to have requirements, and there needs to be something in plan, because we need to let the world know this is what you have to do if you want to come to America. Unfortunately, I mean, I wish we could let, you know, everyone come in, but it's just that's not how it works.
I think we're coming to that point very quickly.
Exactly.
And only time will only tell as policies are rolled out and more debates are had. So I think in the coming weeks we're going to get some answers to that.
We'll see, guys. You know, immigration is a strong debate here in our country, and after President's address on January 30th, then we'll see what we have. Let's move on to the second hot topic. After months of court hearings, Larry Nassar, the former doctor convicted of sexually abusing dozens of young female athletes, has now been sentenced to 175 years in prison. Nassar was a doctor for U.S. gymnastics team and employed by Michigan State University. New allegations claim that Michigan State staffers and MSU knew about the sexual abuse, yet ignored it for over 2 decades. These allegations raise the question of who knew what and when. Okay, guys, what are your thoughts on this MSU knowing about these allegations, yet ignored it?
So this is the largest sexual assault case in America. We're not talking about sports history, we are talking about American history. And I don't know how for 30 years that this monster was able to like prey on little girls. Like, to me, that's disgusting. I don't understand how no one knew or said anything or stood up. And to me, that's, I mean, it's not just sports, it's college students. To me, I mean, especially hits at home, we're in college. And I followed the whole trial, and I mean, to me, it blows my mind. I watched the whole 7-day court case, and I'm just amazed, and I'm so just in shock.
I mean, the problem is that they did stand up. The students at MSU did stand up,
right?
And they went to it. But when they went to MSU, they thought their school would have their back.
Right, I'm talking about the school. I mean,
but even the way that they handled it is they didn't say no, we're not going to handle this for you or anything of the sort. If you look at any of the dialogue that happened between these students, it was very deterring. In nature, it was very deterring, and it was very, if you do this, then be ready for repercussions, or if you do this, this is going to put a bad name on you and your family. And that, it makes you seem like there's an ulterior motive going on that's protecting Nassar, which kind of puts MSU in a very bad spotlight.
Yeah, and like we talked about on the last semester of the report, we talked about Title IX being repealed. This sounds all too familiar of going back into decades ago where we didn't have a policy that forced universities to investigate accusations. Now we had that policy, but still this stuff happened throughout that. And since it's been repealed, it just raises the question, like, where are we going to go back to not having Title IX protections for the victims of sexual abuse?
Right, and this better be a wake-up call because, I mean, not only to schools, but the Olympic Committee. I mean, these girls, like, trained their whole lives, and they thought they were protected by someone who took an oath to protect them, and it's just horrible how they could get away with it. Now, what does that say for the Olympics as well? You know, what does that say for people, you know, if I train my life to become a part of this organization, I'm not even going to be protected.
I don't think we should let one bad apple ruin the bunch. I'm sure there are plenty of other really wonderful therapists, physical therapists that go into, or doctors that go into the Olympics. I do think it bodes to set up, like what you were saying, is for the future. What is going to be happening in the future to help this? And I think that a good step was what Davos did, and giving students more of a voice, giving the campus more of a voice, giving persecution to people that need to be persecuted. We all know that what Nassar did was not okay. No one here is going to debate that. But we aren't going to know until future things happen. God hope they don't.
I mean, I'm talking about something better be put in place.
What Davos did with the repeal and the new guidelines is that she made it up for the schools to decide whether they wanted to investigate or not, how they wanted to investigate or not. I oppose that repeal because I believe that we have to demand that the schools and the universities investigate this within a timely manner and fairly.
Right, because he was under investigation. Like when Amanda Thompson, she actually told Kristen Moore, who the school's coordinator was, she told her about Nassar, and they did nothing, and he was released back to be able to practice. So
yes, and you know, it's crazy to me because there are so many people involved that should also be sentenced that aren't being sentenced or that aren't even being investigated. And that is disgusting to me. Because how can you let a man for 30 or more than 30 years sexually abuse children and not have any investigation on his back?
Well, as in most cases, when people start to come forward, it's a momentum effect. You know, girls start getting on board with getting the confidence to speak out, and I think that's what's most important, is bringing light to a situation. But now turning to national news, there has been a huge scientific breakthrough. Scientists in China have created the world's first cloned monkeys. Two identical long-tailed macaques were successfully cloned using modern technology to enhance the techniques used in the Dolly sheep in 1996. The monkeys Zong Zong and Hua Hua were born 10 days apart in a Chinese lab. Critics raised ethical concerns about the research that could possibly be used to clone humans next. However, the scientists from the Chinese Academy Institute of Neuroscience say the goal is to create genetically identical monkeys to use in medical research, focusing in the fight against Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. The director of the institute said the team has no intention of using their techniques to clone humans.
A leaked White House memo announced that the Trump administration is considering a plan to nationalize the country's 5G network. This attempt is to protect U.S. phone calls from possible Chinese spying. According to documents obtained by Axios, President Trump's national security team may centralize the 5G network instead of leaving it to the wireless providers. The federal takeover is unprecedented and opposed by FCC Chairman Ajit Pai. He said, quote, "The market is not the government. It is best positioned to drive innovation and end investment," end quote. Companies like AT&T and Verizon, which are making massive investments in 5G, also came out in disapproval. A White House official said the option was being debated and considered by President Trump in the next 6 to 8 months.
Now turning to campus news. As we all know, Fram Rose Verge will serve as the president of Cal State Fullerton after former President Mildred Garcia became the head of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. However, President Verge is only appointed until June 2019, so the Cal State system will need to find a permanent replacement. The system said the search will begin after this spring, when the ongoing searches for presidents of Cal State, Bakersfield, Dominguez Hills, and San Diego can conclude. Even though Verge's term ends next year, he is looking forward to immerse himself in the CSUF community. He plans to be on campus every day and will continue to reside in Fullerton. Here at Titan TV, we want to welcome President Verge and an exciting new term here at Cal State Fullerton.
From January 23rd to January 26th, Cal State Fullerton held a series of events hosted by the African American Resource Center to honor Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. A group of Cal State Fullerton students have the details.
Today's event is a chalking event. We're calling it Chalking About MLK, and it's the first event in our Martin Luther King Honor Week, where we had students come out and write about their dreams.
Last night we had an incredible lecture by Dr. Tyler Perry from our African American Studies department, who just talked about the holistic approach of Dr. King. And tonight is that visual aspect to both of those events.
I didn't know much about Selma, the March on Selma, before I saw the movie. It started because a black student went to go to University of Alabama, but he was denied by the governor. It just makes me more empowered to excel academically and professionally when I graduate from here.
It was actually my first time speaking, even though it wasn't my spoken word that I spoke. And I think that it's something that more people should come to it and just get that information about MLK, because he was very, very important. But there are also a lot of key role players that played as well.
The different ways in which these events were presenting, the chalking, the watching of the movie, today the spoken presentations are just vehicles to understand the importance of celebrating difference through unity rather than through division.
We wanted to make sure that we had a chance to honor Dr. King's legacy by making sure that the purpose of the I Have a Dream speech was really felt, but also as this next generation we can add to that dream, since we all are recipients of the sacrifice and the hard work and everything that Dr. King meant. So now it's our chance to pay it forward.
Well, that's all the time we have left here on today's episode of The Report. Stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Shannon McKercher.
And I'm Zach Slopemaker.
And I'm Leslie Duarte. Stay fresh, Fullerton.